As we enter the foyer of the lodge, we are greeted with tons of lore. To our left, we have a replica of the Apollo Command and Service module. This module was most famously used in the Apollo 13 mission. 55 hours, 54 minutes, 53 seconds into the Apollo 13 flight, disaster happens. The famous line that's misquoted sends shockwaves through NASA.
Okay, Houston, we've had a problem here.
This is Houston. Say again, please.
Houston, we've had a problem.
The crew turned on the fans to stir up the cold oxygen. Already damaged wires then ignited, causing the tank to explode. NASA then proceeds to do one of the biggest unprecedented survival missions to get them home. In a combination of human willpower and some luck, Apollo 13 makes it home.
There they are!
There they are. They've made it.
Above the module, we have a portrait of Sir Edmund Hillary. Born in Auckland, New Zealand on the 20th of July, 1919, he always had an interest in climbing. He would often tell his fellow classmates that he wanted to see the world. In 1953, alongside an energetic Sherpa by the name of Tenzing, would make the monumentous climb to Mount Everest. After his expedition, he would be knighted. Next to Sir Edmund Hillary, we have Janine Barit. Born on the 27th of July, 1740, in Burgundy, France, she had a difficult early life. Her mother died a little over a year after her birth, and her father when she was 15. She would become a maid for a naturalist scientist called Philibert Commerson. After Commerson's wife dies, Barit and Commerson fall in love. They take part in the Bougainville expedition. Barit would dress like a man and act as Commerson's nurse. There, they would travel the world discovering new places and plants. On this voyage, Barit would become the first woman to circumnavigate the globe. As we enter the main room, to our left, we are greeted with another portrait. This time of Ferdinand Magellan. Magellan was born sometime in 1480 in northern Portugal. He was born into a minor noble family and served in the navy for Portugal. He believed that he could reach Asia by sailing below South America and into Asia. He propositioned the King of Portugal to help fund his expedition to the Spice Islands to test his theory, but King Manuel refused. Thus, Magellan proposed the same idea to the Spanish King Charles I. Spain accepted. Magellan would die during his journey, and few of his crewmen would make it back home. Portugal would see Magellan as a traitor. However, he would be the first person to circumnavigate the globe. As we continue our way past the gardens, we see two phenomenal pieces: the Mercury camera and the Vostok program. A lot of people think the Mercury camera is the camera used on the Mars rover. This is untrue. This camera is actually the camera astronauts would use to document their adventures. It would take some of the most famous photos in human history. The Vostok would serve to deliver the first human, Yuri Gagarin, into space. Vostok would also deliver the first woman, Valentina Tereshkova, into space as well. A major difference between the American and Soviet capsules is that the Vostok had limited thruster capabilities. Thus, its re-entry landing could not be determined, and the limited thrusters is the reason why it's shaped as a sphere. Above these modules, we have a portrait of Charlotte Yeager. Charlotte is an anime character from the World Witches series. Her name is a play on Chuck Yeager. Chuck Yeager would be the first human being to break the sound barrier in the Bell X-1 aircraft on the 14th of October, 1947. Next to Yeager, we have a portrait of Amelia Earhart. Born on the 24th of July, 1897, in Atchison, Kansas, she would attempt to be the first woman to circumnavigate the globe in an aircraft. However, on July 2nd, 1937, disaster struck. Her trip was poorly planned and executed. Her plane ran out of fuel looking for the Howland Islands. Her body has never been recovered and her exact crash location is unknown. We next come upon a beautiful replica of the RV Calypso. She first served as a minesweeper during the Second World War. However, she would later be bought by Thomas Loa Guinness and be leased to Castao for 1 franc a year. Castao would commission the ship into a research vessel. Above the replica, we run into a portrait of Sebastian Banks. He found Constellation in the year 2275. Constellation's main goal is to uncover the mysteries of the galaxy. His fate is unknown. Odd that he appears angelic or divine in nature. Perhaps there's more to this story, waiting to be explored. In the corner by the fireplace, we see a portrait of a beautiful woman next to a violin. This is Marie Anna Mozart. She's most commonly known as Mozart's older sister. She had the same musical ability as her brother, but due to the age she was born in, once she reached marriageable age, she could no longer play music. Maria learning how to play instruments actually inspired Mozart to become a musician. They were inseparable at a young age. However, when they got older, the two drifted. After that, as we follow along the wall, we see another model. This is the model of the HMS Beagle. On her second voyage, she would carry the famous naturalist Charles Darwin all over the world. Charles Darwin would publish his journal, The Voyage of the Beagle, which would be the foundation of natural selection and evolution. This strapping young man is Captain James Cook. Born on the 7th of November, 1728 in Yorkshire, Great Britain, he would serve in the Royal Navy during the 7 Years' War. After his heroic action, he would later be commissioned as an explorer in 1768 on the HMS Endeavour. He would chart lands from New Zealand to Hawaii. However, on his adventures in Hawaii, he would try to kidnap the local chief. This ultimately led to his death. Now we go back into the foyer. And up the stairs, to the left, is my favorite piece in the entire lodge. A portrait of Yuri Gagarin. Born on the 9th of March 1934 in Smolensk Oblast. As a young boy, he suffered from the German occupation during the Second World War. After joining the Soviet Air Force, he would be picked to become a cosmonaut. His fellow cosmonauts would vote for him to become the first human being to enter space. He would use the Vostok program seen earlier. However, due to the Vostok design, he would literally have to eject from it during its descent. On the 27th of March 1968, Yuri would die in a freak accident while testing the MiG-15 UTI. Finally, next to Yuri, we have the portrait of Neil Armstrong. Born on August 5th, 1930, in Wapakoneta, Ohio, he would join the aviation section of the United States Navy. He saw service in the Korean War. After becoming a test pilot, he would be selected to become an astronaut. From there, he would be recommended to be the commander of the Apollo 11 mission. Armstrong would be the first human to set foot on the surface of the moon. There he would say the famous line heard around the world.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, check out this video.